Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome all of my colleagues from the Prestigion K-12 Education Group to this very special webinar that is being co-organized with Columbia Asia Hospitals. Firstly, I want to start by thanking Columbia Asia. As all of you know, they have become our partners over this last few months to prepare for the reopening of our schools and offices and kindergartens. And in particular, I like to extend a very special and warm welcome to Sister Puniswari, the head of infection control, and she's going to be our special guest speaker later today to brief us on what are some of the key health and safety practices we all need to take into account as we opened up all of our centers and our schools. Right now, before we begin, though, a special welcome to all of my colleagues from Prestigion K-12. I think this is quite special because this is the first time all of us have actually been together live. So all 1,600 staff, including my colleagues from Real Kids, from Real Schools, from Sri KDU, and from Cambridge English for Life. So I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for tuning in today for this very special webinar and briefing. I know it's not been easy this last few months. I think a lot of us have been looking forward to the opening of schools and our preschools and centers. And I think as we're looking forward to welcoming back our students and, in a sense, reopening all of our schools and centers, we also realize that safety is of paramount importance. And that's why we started this special partnership with Columbia Asia Hospitals. We felt that it's very important that when we do reopen our schools and our kindergartens and our centers, that we must not in any way compromise the safety of our staff and our students. And that's one of the reasons why we're having the webinar today. And we're having Sister Puniswari share with us some of the key important take-home ideas from our SOPs about how to keep safe as we reopen our doors again. So I thank you all for taking time this Monday afternoon to come for this briefing. And again, I just want to urge all of us to really take the briefing very, very seriously. This is a key concern I think all of us as staff, but also the parents of your students have, just to ensure that we are doing everything we can in our power to make sure that our schools and preschools are safe. All right. So as you've known, for the schools, we've released our SOPs last week. For the preschools, for Real Kids, we are still aligning, having received the latest protocols from the Ministry of Education. So we're just clarifying a few details, but we're planning to release the SOPs for Real Kids, by the middle of this week, hopefully by Wednesday as well. All right. And I think the way this briefing really feeds and complements those SOPs is that through Columbia Asia and the expertise of Sister Puniswari, we want to really underline and cement and consolidate some of the key points for those of us, particularly those of us in the front line. We're going to be teachers in the classrooms, frontline staff in the offices as we start to receive visitors and students back into our schools and preschools, that we are very clear on the safety protocols and we are clear on the do's and the don'ts during this extraordinary time. All right. So again, I want to thank Columbia Asia. I thank all of you, my colleagues who are here with me. So without any further ado, at this stage, I would like to welcome and call upon Sister Puniswari to begin the webinar. And I'm sure all of us will benefit from this. Thank you very much, Sister Puniswari.
Good afternoon, all. My name is... Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Puniswari. I'm an infection control sister currently working in a Columbia Hospital, Petaling Jaya. Okay, our team from Columbia PJ have conducted pre-opening school post-COVID-19 pandemic inspection to ensure the school is compliant to MOH and MOE guideline or SOP. We have visited 4 schools last Friday. The first school is Cambridge English for Life. Second is Real Kids Shah Alam Campus and Subang Jaya. And the last one we visited is Sri KDU Kota Damansara. Thank you for a warm welcome. Okay. Our main objective for the inspection is to ensure that all facilities and procedures at the school are in place to protect the student and the staff from contracting the infection in the school. Our second objective is to ensure that all SOP and guidelines outlined by the government was adhered to by the school. During our inspection, we noticed that the school has in place a safety protocol to make sure that their students and staff are in a safe environment. Okay. The safety protocol of that hospital are focusing on 5 key points. Okay. Number one, they are focusing is preventing any COVID-19 positive person from entering the school. In this point, they will check all the temperature of the student in the main entrance. If the temperature is more than 37.5, the student or staff will be returned back to the home from the entrance. Second thing, the student on the arrival on the first day to the school, they need to submit their travel and health status declaration form to the teachers. The visitors are limited. The visitors all are limited. If they needed, they will be fixed appointment. The staff and visitors will be daily declare about their health status on online or by filling up the manual form. Second thing, they are focusing on a social distance, okay, which is very important, okay, where all the classroom being arranged follow the MOH guideline, which there is a 1 meter distance with each desk. And from the window and the door, they maintain about 0.5 meter. Okay. Then there is a clear floor demarcation to maintain the social distance. Okay. There is a no hand shaking policy or physical contact. And they also staggered arrival and dismiss time to maintain their social distance and to avoid the crowded. The third point, they are focusing on a circuit breaker measure. Okay, in this point, there will be no assemblies will be conducted. Okay, all the meals will be served in the classroom. Okay, no physical education. Students are not allowed to mingle with other students from the other classes. Number 4 point is focusing on practicing a good personal hygiene, where all the staff and student is encouraged to wear the face mask and face shield while they are in the school compound. And they install all the hand sanitizer in an entry point, and we notice that each classroom they already place the hand sanitizer. Okay. Then there will be no food sharing foods in the classroom. Okay, and the teacher will be continue reminding the students to be continue the hand hygiene. The last point under their safety protocol, they are ensuring a clean campus environment. Okay, in this point, all the school already have their cleaning schedule, which going to focus on the high touch areas like the doorknobs, the desk, the chair. Then the washroom will be washed daily, hourly, insists of hourly. Yeah. Then all the equipments that used by the student in a classroom will be cleaned immediately after the teaching session. Okay. However, we found some minor finding which our team already informed the teacher immediately so that the step to improve can be taken. Later, we will share the finding. Okay. These are the pictures that I would like to share with all the staff. We did inspection in 4 schools. Okay, the first school is Cambridge English for Life. Okay, you can see that they already put the clear demarking in the main entrance. and we need to scan the QR code, temperature will be checked, and then they will give us a hand sanitizer, then only they allow the student to enter, which is the good practice. Okay. These are the record to enter the staff, visitors or students' name. Okay, but the highlighting, I would like to highlight in this diffuser where in this school, all the children are below 5 years old. So maybe the school can put the kids step stool because the smoke will be direct to face, which is not a safety for the children's. Okay, these are something that a good point to share that everybody can see. They already arrange all the table desks with the 1 meter. Very impressive. Okay, the one lacking is the poster. Poster for hand hygiene, what is the COVID, so that the student can follow. There is a hand sanitizer, but there is no step of the hand hygiene, how to perform. Okay, you can see in the first picture that the bookshelf, it's open with a lot of file over there. So my advice is please cover with the plastic cover so that if one of the student turn up be positive or infected, it's be easily to clean rather than you need to throw all the file. This is the real school Shalam, and this is the perfect school. There is no comment from us. They are already well prepared. The student can come in anytime. Okay. Real kids Subang Jaya, they also well prepared. They already have all the measure be taken. The last school is Sri KDU Kota Damansara, also already well prepared. You can see the marking, and we can notice the black color, the green color spot marking. They explained to me the purpose of the marking to be done there, because in case students are waiting, so they can be stand in this marking so that it won't be overcrowded the area. Okay, like me, I'm the visitors, so I need to fill up my documents, my personal particulars in the books, and the security guard is very knowledgeable, can guide me what to do. And they already have the poster of the visitors guidelines, how to follow. It's very impressive. Okay, this is their classroom. And what I notice here is in this classroom, they already put the staff, student's name, which this table and the stool will be the permanent for that student. Okay. Overall, we are proud to report that our team are fully amazed with the amount of the work and the effort that the school have put into the preparation. All the steps and guidelines are in compliance with the MOH, MOE and SOP. Okay. So as a parent, I'm very impressed that the school is ready to receive the student and staff back, and they are really in a safe hand. So I think all the staff of this school should be proud that they are ready. Okay. Okay, there is some questions being posed for us to answer, right? Some question I may need help from Dr. Go, because I think he is the best person to answer this question. Some of related to infection control, I will be answering. Dr. Go, are you around?
No, I'm Dr. Go ahead. Hi, Samuel here. So I will
Dr.
help. Dr. Go ahead. Oh,
I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Doctor, I would like to get some advice. There are some questions be posted by the staff. The first question is how to adopt to this new form, a new norm. So we would like to hear from a doctor on this question.
So I think, look, the key is, and this is one of the reasons why I think the training has begun last week. So for, I think, the school staff, for both Sri KDU and Real schools, because the starting was June 24th, so that's this Wednesday. Now, most of you have already been training in your schools and been, I think, very thoroughly briefed by your principals or your head of schools about what needs to be done. Now, I know that at the beginning it's going to be quite complex. There are going to be new duties. So, for example, there are a lot more teachers now on duty for critical periods like drop-offs and dismissal, for the collection of food from the canteen, in hallways to ensure that the circuit breaking and the social distancing is done. So I'm going to leave the details to each of the schools for the Real Kid centers, because all of the protocols are slightly different. But let me just make a general comment to say that because there is going to be a lot of change in the protocols, it's important that the schools, the teachers in particular, for Real Schools, Real Kids, and Cambridge English for Life, that you have enough time to actually do the training in the school campus. If any of you are still unclear on your duties and responsibilities, on any aspects of the SOPs, you need to talk to your supervisors in the schools. I believe they've already organized you. I mean, I've given clear instructions in the last few weeks, Eugene and myself, I think, to all of the schools to ensure that everybody is clear on what their new duties and responsibilities are. But I think in general, I would say it is not going to be easy to adapt. I think of this as a major operation, in terms of everybody needs to know what they're supposed to do from the moment children arrive in school to the moment they leave, and a lot of different protocols. So I think the key is really to train, do a lot of drills, a lot of role playing before the children come back. Now, I think thankfully, as you know, this Wednesday, only a very small percentage of students are coming back. Only Form 5 and some of the upper secondary year levels for international. So this is a really good opportunity to see, evaluate the protocols to ensure that the protocols are working. Because of course, our expectation is, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, the rest of the students are going to be coming back. For Real Kids, you've got a bit of time because July 1st, so it's only the next week that the students are coming back, but all of them are coming back. So again, my general advice is everybody really needs to be well drilled and well trained in terms of the minute details of what you need to do for your different duties, responsibilities, what are the do's and don'ts when you're in the classroom. Right? Thank you very much.
Okay. So the first question, it is from our view as a medical health care provider. How to adapt to this new norm? The first thing is by accepting of the situation. Second, respond instead of reacting to the situation. Always give yourself time to process with the new information. Allow yourself time to adapt to the change. Remember, everyone reacts to the new things differently. So you have to know your way of handling the new norm. Be flexible and open to relinquish control over the situation. Go easy on yourself and manage the expectation at the work and at home. Focus on what you can do rather than not on what you cannot do. Set a new routines that work for you and don't pressure yourself. Practice mindfulness. Be in the moment and focus on what you can achieve today. These are some advice how to adapt to this new norm. Second question, how to handle the stress? Actually, these are the broad question because it's focusing many things. That means teachers having to multitask like never before. Financial challenges, high demand from the parents for the quality teaching. The first thing is always develop a positive attitude. The positive attitude can create the high level of energy and motivation in any situation. So develop a positive attitude towards the colleague, students, and parents. Second, self-discipline. The self-discipline is a major factor to reduce the stress. By maintaining self-discipline, every teacher will be moral to others. time management. Time pressure and work overload are always very high in the teaching profession. Prioritize of the works will help to teach to organize time effectively. The workload will be given to the teacher depends on their efficiency. Sufficient diet and enough sleep. By maintaining the diet balance and enough sleep, the teacher can perform at their best. The last is the relaxation technique. Relaxation is the stress reliever, but also can increase the quality of the work of the teacher. Relaxation techniques refer to the listening like music, reading, dancing, playing some games, chatting or gardening can reduce the stress. How to handle the following question being asked is, how do we educate our students to refrain from labeling or teasing their peer based on how they look when they are wearing the mask or face shield? The important things is always start with daily briefing on COVID-19. Don't take 30 minutes, only take about 5 to 10 minutes. You need to address what is COVID-19, what are the measures protect us, and the purpose of the face mask and face shield, so that the student are understanding the usage of the face mask. Second point, the school can standardize. That means make standard that all students wearing a similar face mask and face shield in the school, so that student may less likely to tease as all be wearing a similar item. Third is positive reinforcement by the teacher to the teaser and the one being teased. The fourth one, have a private talk with the offending students. Help her understand how hurtful ridicule can be. If you sense she was trying to be hurtful, such behavior is unacceptable and must stop immediately. Let the student know that you will monitor her closely. If the teasing is persisting, take disciplinary action and update the parents so that the parents can reinforce their children the usage of the face mask and the consequence when they are continue doing the teasing on the peer. How do we educate our students to refrain from spreading untrue rumors about COVID-19 among themselves? Again, the repeating, your daily briefing. Just a 5 minutes brief on the COVID. Promote information sharing, and all the teachers have to know the latest updates about COVID-19. Share the unknown information with the students, providing update information on the disease situation, including prevention and control efforts at the school.
Now, Sister Puneswari, I wanted to pose some questions. So thank you so much for your sharing and thank you for taking time to be with us today. Now, as you know, most of us are not from the medical profession. So we've not actually spent time in the COVID-19 wards. We are not in the front line, like I think you and many others. And so maybe we wanted some tips. As you know, the majority of our staff are teachers. All right. So most of them are going to be in the classrooms every day, 4 to 5 hours. Now, I just wanted to ask some specific medical questions. All right. So I think number one, when it comes to hand washing, okay.
Yes, sir.
So a few tips, as you know, we've put disinfectants in all of our classrooms. Now, first tip I wanted to ask you is, how often, in your opinion, should we be encouraging our students and our staff to be washing their hands with the disinfectant? Should it be every 30 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour? What is your advice, sister?
Doctor, washing the hands, there is an indication for using the hand rub. Okay?
Sure.
If they feel the hands are visibly soiled, they
Sure.
can immediately use the hand sanitizer. No need to wait about 30 minutes or 1 hour.
Okay.
If they feel they touch some dirty area, they can use. If not, like 2 hours or 3 hours once, the teacher can remind the student to use the hand sanitizer. But the teacher have to focus on the 6th step of the hand washing. So which is the important one.
Could you show us now with your hands and give us a good model? Thank you
This
so
is
much.
the example of the hand sanitizer that we are using is from the Sterling company. Okay. So when we are pressing also, there is a technique, doctor, actually. Some of them, they like to press these tips. When they press this, you cannot get the enough amount. And they will start to press 2-3 times. And student, when they see all these things, they like to play. So the teacher may have some effort to teach them that press once. Okay, you see, so this amount will be about 3 mils. Okay, the first thing is ask them to dip in the alcohol and rub. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The second step is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The third 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Easy for the student is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last step is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will achieve 20 seconds. Okay. Each step only do 5 times because it is alcohol based. It will dry very fast. So these are the things that reinforce. So when the teacher are telling the students, please hand wash, they will feel boring. So they can put some songs. They can download in the WHO guideline. There are songs for the hand hygiene. So which will make them, the students, be more interesting to do the things. So this one of the method to increase compliance on the students.
No, thank you so much, sister. I guess the other question I have to ask, some of my colleagues have been asking me also is, given the disinfectant, I mean, it has content, I mean, it is got chemicals. I mean, is there also a maximum time, meaning that is frequent use of this going to be damaging in any way to our children's hand or skin if they wash too frequently?
Some, it's very rare. Some can be allergic to alcohol. Not all, only some. So if they are allergic to that, the developed symptom will be itchiness, or sometimes they will see the redness. So maybe that kind of the student, we can encourage them to use soap and water as frequent, or they may buy outside without alcohol. There are also, so the parents can buy some individual for them.
Sure.
As much the hand is not sticky, there is no itchiness or redness, they can use the hand sanitizer. But for the children, we encourage to use soap and water more frequent, doctor.
Okay. So in a sense, if they are not allergic to it, we shouldn't be too worried about constant use. There shouldn't be any long-term issues or damage. Okay, good. I think the other question we had was, we've also read from time to time some articles or comments about wearing face masks for a very prolonged period of time. So as you know, your sister, you've seen our protocols in the classrooms. What we've said is the protocol is that both our students and teachers can choose, right? I mean, so it's a bit like what we are doing in Singapore, which is they can choose either the face shield or the face mask, all right? But when outside in the corridors, when they go to the canteen or when they are going for dismissals in a common area, we've said they must wear the face mask. Now, I guess my question is just, is it true that face mask over a long period of time, it's not healthy? I mean, is it important that they take a breath, especially younger children? Some of them find the face mask a bit uncomfortable. What is your advice, sister? I mean, we've read some articles where they say we should take a breath every once in a while, but I mean, maybe we want to hear a medical opinion. What is the actual truth about face masks? Can we wear it for 7-8 hours straight, and is it still healthy? Sister.
Actually, for the children, it's very difficult, doctor. For adult, we know, I feel uncomfortable. So for a while, we will just remove and put back the mask. So it's okay. But children, sometimes they couldn't tell us. They may uncomfortable with wearing the mask. So since they are wearing the face shield, they can actually remove the mask for a while. You don't need to force them to wear for 8 hours. Because everybody in the class are wearing the face mask. Okay, so if one student, let's say everybody is wearing and I feel uncomfortable, we can ask them just remove the face mask for a while, let them wear the face shield. Because the principle of wearing the face mask and the face shield is we don't want the droplet to go over. So we want to contain the droplets. So we can still put which one we want, whether the face mask or face shield. Because we can't force the student, like a 5 years old, please wear, cannot. Suddenly they may fainted and they may hyperventilate with this.
No, I
So
think
this
that's
is
really good
important.
advice, and just a reminder to my colleagues. And so that's one of the reasons why in the schools and in the classrooms in particular, where the children will be spending the majority of the time, we have actually given them an option, right? So I mean,
Yes.
we've basically gone with what the Singapore education system has done, which is they're given an option of a face shield and a mask. And in fact, for younger children, I think as teachers, it may be better to encourage them to wear the face shield because, as
Correct.
Sister has said, some of them may have discomfort breathing and they may not
Correct.
know how to
Correct.
tell the teachers
Yes.
or this. Now, there
I
are some
agree.
questions that are coming through. So I think you mentioned the fact that, washing with water and soap is in a sense as effective, so if some children are not comfortable doing the alcohol based disinfectant, it's okay if they wash their hands with soap and water. Is that correct, sister?
Yes. It's good, doctor.
Okay. And there's a question also coming in to say, so that's why before mealtime, before they eat, let's say using their hands, it may be a better idea for the teachers then to take them to the bathroom where they can actually
Yes.
use soap and water rather
Correct.
than have the alcohol in their hands when they're eating with their hands. Okay,
No,
good.
before
Yeah.
eating, after eating, when they go for washroom, before and after, the best practice is soap and water, doctor. Don't
Good.
use hand rub because the hand rub will cause the children to a bitter taste. Then later they will have some complication on that. So we don't want.
Okay.
We will encourage
So
with the soap and water.
So just a note, I mean, they can use the hand sanitizers throughout the day, but before and after eating, sister, you're saying it's better if they actually
Yes.
use the soap and
Yes.
water. And
Correct.
thoroughly, but I take it it's still the same process as you
Yes.
showed us earlier. Okay.
Only
Good.
in soap and water, the step, this will be the last step. So the first step, they have to wet the hand and take the soap that enough. Don't take so much, then they will be sitting at the sink area washing all the time. So the
Yeah.
class will be the dismissed. So they have to apply it and start again. But with the soap and water, each step should be 10 times. Then only they can achieve 40 to 60 seconds. So the first step will be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then change it, this hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then again, 10 times here. Go back again this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then this method, 10 times. Repeat the both hand. Then the last will be this.
Okay. That's fantastic, and I think we will see whether our technical team can make a short video, sister, of what you've done, and we will capture that 20 seconds, so that we can show our students. Thank you so much. Now, I'm just checking, sister. Did you have any other medical questions that are coming on your end? I'm also checking the chat line, and I will help channel some of these questions to you. So again, I just want to stress to all of my colleagues who are watching this, you can email me. I'm following the live comments and chat questions. And again, sister, this is the time that she set aside for us. So any questions, particularly to do with the medical aspects of how to, what are the best medical safety and health practices in the classroom, this is the ideal opportunity, sister, like I say, it works in the the section for infection control. So in the hospital, as you know, they've got all the best practices. They really are very, very, very careful. So this is the expert here. Are there any other questions? There's a question here. Some teachers have sinus problems and common cold problems in the morning. Are there any tips, sister? So this is not COVID-19 related, but I think everybody gets very nervous when people start sneezing or all that in the morning. So for teachers that have sinus problems and usually experience some cold symptoms in the morning, the question here is, are there any suggestions or precautions these teachers can take?
Doctor, from the infection view, just advice is to wear the face mask. The only thing I can advise, because people won't know that we have a sinusitis. People that why suddenly you have a flu, how can you come into the school? So for me, I will say just wear the face mask and just inform the security lah. So they have the sinusitis.
Good. And I think just a tip here also, one of our colleagues has just reminded everybody that therefore, where the hand sanitizer press is, we need to make sure that's frequently washed. I should add
Yes.
also that our JB Real School, they've actually built and invented a product where for the hand sanitizer, they just step on it with their foot, so they don't need to touch it with their hands. And we've actually arranged to send the blueprints to all of our other schools. Now, this is a good question, I think, particularly for young children, which is some children, when we are not looking, they may accidentally, let's say, drink the hand sanitizer, right? Meaning that, either they're being naughty or they're being, childish, or, their friends dare them to. So again, sister, I mean, I guess this could be a serious problem. If they are drinking or accidentally ingest any of the hand sanitizers, right, sister, what should the teachers or the nurse do immediately?
Doctor, actually the
Yeah.
first thing is the sanitizer shouldn't be below the waistline. It should be above the waistline because the children like to play. But anyway, what we notice is children won't drink this because it's a very bitter taste. Okay.
Sure.
In case accidentally they did that, the immediate action is irrigation, ask them to gargle and bring the child to hospital immediately.
And the
Because
gargle, is it a
how
normal
much
gargle, or is it just water, or what kind of gargle are we talking about?
if there is a saline, can use saline. If there is a water, can gargle with the water.
So I
And
take it,
bring
if
the
it's a
child to the
teacher,
hospital.
immediately they should notify the nurse, and the
Yes.
nurse should have a saline solution. They should
Yes.
gargle it, and then, I mean, if it's a watch for symptoms. If there are any issues, they should be taken to a hospital immediately. Good.
Yes.
So I think, look,
Because we
the
don't know
bottom
the
line is
amount.
please watch and make sure, especially for, I think, our real kids classes, our younger kids, they need to be told in no uncertain terms. In fact, part of the briefing is if you
Yes.
actually put this into your mouth, we will have to take you to the hospital. So I think
Correct.
they need to realize that this is serious and this is not
Yes.
something that we want to play around with. Thank you so much.
Doctor, just to share about the cleaning method, don't only focus here. The method that we worried is this point because here the one can be accumulate with the organism. So that's why this part should be clean.
All clean as well, huh? Okay, good.
Yes.
Now, just a question here from City. Is the face shields for students only? No. So what we're doing is just to inform all of you, for the whole Prestigion group, especially for all of the teachers and the frontline staff, for Street KDU, Real Kids, Real Schools, NCFL, we're actually going to be buying each of the teachers one face shield. All right. So each of you will receive a face shield. The face mask will also be provided, but I mean, you can use your own also if you want to. So all of the teachers will have a face shield, and all of the students will also be provided a face shield from the school. Right? Thank you so much. Now, there's another question here. How long do the teachers and students need to change the mask? So I take it, is it okay, if they choose to wear the surgical mask, can they wear it for a full day to change? Or must they change it every 3 or 4 hours? And sister, we ask this because our school day is about 7 or 8 hours. All right. So I mean, it's the full day. So what is your advice for the surgical mask? Can they wear it for 7, 8 hours, or must they change it after 3 or 4 hours?
It's actually depend on the individual, doctor.
Okay.
It's depend. If they think the mask is become wet, and when they're wearing, they feel uncomfortable or smelling, they need to change immediately. They cannot wear that for so long. It may affect them. So if they feel it's not wet and it's not smell and they wear the mask, they feel comfortable. For 7 hours, I think I'm okay. Because when they eat, they definitely will remove the mask.
Okay.
Right? So they will put back. So I think...
So you're saying that if they don't feel uncomfortable, there is no health reason why they need to change the mask after a day. So it's okay to wear it for a day and then to dispose of it, and then there's a new mask. Now, also, I just want to notify our staff members. I mean, you'll be given, we are actually providing you company sponsored face masks, but those are reusable masks. So the fabric mask you need to wash every day. So you can't wear it every day. We will give you, I think, 2 each. You should wash it, with soap and laundry detergent so that every day you're wearing a fresh mask, right? Thank you so much. Now, just, okay. Any questions from your side, sister, that maybe my staff send you that are, like I say, more medical related? Any best practices, whether it's washing or sanitation or anything like that?
I think basically number 7 is the question.
Yeah.
Number 7, they asked, is there any amount of sanitizer that is recommended to be used, 1 pump or 2 pump? Actually, the amount of hand sanitizer required depend on the hand size, doctor. If like a small children 5 years old, 1 press, okay, enough. If like an adult, the SPM student, STPM, they need at least 2 pump to take educate.
Okay.
So I think basically that is the answer for that lah.
So for adults, so Mimi, we are talking the teens, who are 13, 14, who are already our size. It may take 2 pumps, but
Yes.
I mean, I was seeing earlier, when you were demonstrating, it's quite a generous pump. So it's not just one small drop, it's actually quite a lot to be able to do all of that.
It depends on how you press it.
Sure. Now, I mean, the other thing that I think a lot of teachers, we are concerned about is, as you know, one of the ways the disease is spread is, our hands touch different things than we touch our face, right? And I take it, what are some tips that you would give? I mean, I notice doctors and nurses are very good at this. I think you've been training yourself for a long time, not to touch your face with your hands, all right? I mean, are there any tips for us as teachers, as well as for our students, to train us so that we stop the habit of, touching our face and nose and eyes and rub our eyes and all that with our hands, all right? Is there any, I don't know, special tips or pointers you want to give us, sister?
So far, there is no special tips. It's just a reinforcement purpose. Like let's say you are in front of me, doctor, and I notice that you are doing that. You're going to, doctor,
I'm going to touch. So you remind me. Yes.
So reminder is each other will be the best method.
And I should also add to all our viewers, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of countries like Singapore have actually adopted the face shields. The face shields in a way is actually, not just to keep the spittle out, so it doesn't spread to other people, but it also prevents us from actually
touching the face.
Exactly. So whether it's to clean your spectacles or this or that, once you've got the face shield, it makes it much, much harder for us to touch our face. So I think that's a good thing. Any other questions on your end, sister? So I'm still reading my, my end. All right.
There is another question, number 8, doctor. Is there any concern for students being together in an enclosed air-conditioned room? Example, their classes for the whole day, for lesson every day. Actually, COVID-19 is transmitted via droplet and contact. It's not airborne. Okay. Nevertheless, frequent air circulation is a known measure to reduce the risk of respiratory infection. So the measure that can be considered, like opening all the windows and doors in between the lesson or during the break time to allow the complete change of the air. Second is air conditioning unit must be regularly serviced to ensure the filtering system is functioning and cleaning. And then encourage students to wear mask or face shield at all the times. And then actually this is costly. Individual air purifying unit in each classroom if can. This is some advice from us.
And I think certainly, for each of the schools, each of the centers, of course, are physically very different. And I think this is a case where we're going to do what we can. I mean, all of the operation managers and the leaders of, we've got over 100 centers, whether it's CFL or Real Kids or schools. And we know even different blocks within the schools are different. So in some cases, it is possible to open the doors once in a while to air. Some of the classrooms I've visited are very, airy. You can open up the doors and the windows. In other blocks, it may not be so, practical. Because the doorways and airways are not very large. Some of them can't be open for a long period of time, and it may be too hot, too cold, too windy, too dirty. So I think for each case, it's about trying to keep the airflow in the classroom as clean as possible. But I just want to say that one of the reasons why we've not put that in the SOP is because we've realized each of your classrooms are very, very different. Some of your classrooms still rely very much on air conditions because, the nature of, the building and all of that is that if you don't have air cons, it's just too hot and stuffy. And in other classrooms, it's possible just to use fans. So I think we are allowing the principals and the leaders of each of the campuses to play this by ear and to do the best thing they can. I mean, Eugene Yu, who is the CEO of Sri Giri, had another good suggestion. You keep your hands in your pockets, then you won't touch your face. So that's good. Now, a question here by City: for subjects that require tools equipment, do the students bring their own? Though we provide for them. So I think, look, one of the SOP sections, and sister, please feel free to add. One of the SOP sections says, look, I think there are two types of equipment, right? Where possible, we have advised that things like pencils and utensils that the students can use personally, and they actually are, person to holder. Then we have encouraged the students to bring their own or to avoid sharing, right? But we also realize that some of the labs, for example, in the science labs, it's not possible, all right, for each student to have their own equipment, all right? So there are going to be some equipment where there's sharing. And if you notice in the SOP, we've made clear in the SOPs that therefore after a student uses, let's say it could be a microscope or something like that, which all of them cannot have their own, they will need to disinfect it. So there will be disinfectant to be wiped down. So I think it needs to be a regular practice where, for example, if they are in the industrial lab and they are using hammers and tools, or they're in the science lab, they are touching things, that the rule is always after their lesson, after they have completed it, they need to wipe everything down before the next class comes in or before the next students use it, But I think, that's for older children. I think for younger children, we are holding to a strict policy that let's try to avoid any kind of common play object, where a big group of children are all touching it at the same time. All right. So unfortunately, some of the toys and the games may not be possible to be used during this period. Now, there's a question here, sister, on how effective are antibacterial wipes. So antibacterial wipes, those wipes, those cloth wet wipes, are those effective as an alternative to, the disinfectant wash, for example?
Effective is, I think, the antibacterial wipes that available in pharmacy. I think it's equal, doctor. I think everybody, it is approved by the MOH, if I'm not mistaken, because we are in the hospital, we are using another type, because the germs in the hospital and the home is totally different. So we are using a bit aggressive one. So for the home or the school, they can use the antibacterial wipes. The normal Dettol wipes, I think, is acceptable.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, just a note here, in terms of do we need to sanitize our face shields? The answer is yes. So, I think, so after use every day, and that's one of the reasons why, for example, for the younger children, like in Real Kids, we are planning to keep the face shields in the kindergarten so that, we can actually wipe it down every day, and then we reuse it again the next day, right? Now, just a question here from Priscilla. For sensitive skin, all right? So sorry, sensitive skin, can we wear rubber gloves? All right. So they're saying, let's say they want to wear rubber gloves and apply sanitizer at the same time. So sister, what are your thoughts? Meaning, so they're, let's say, wearing rubber gloves the whole day. So with the rubber gloves, they're touching things like their computer or the lab work and all of that. If they're wearing rubber gloves, do they still need to apply sanitizers to the gloves if they're touching different objects?
Actually, doctor, if we look at the MOH guideline, the gloves are not allowed to wear all the time.
Okay.
When the staff or any visitors coming to our hospital, the first thing that I told them is, please remove the glove, because with the glove, washing hand will be forget. They won't wash hand. And they are going to touch everywhere, and we don't know what are the glove is touching and bringing to other people. You see. So we are not encouraged to wear gloves in the working place or in the school. The best is hand hygiene, frequent hand hygiene. That's why I say if they are allergic to hand rub, they can get it something that non-allergic product. There are availables that they can find out from the pharmacy.
Sure. No, thank you so much. Actually, that's a really good point. Meaning, I think the question comes from, so if you've got sensitive skin, we are not saying we don't allow you to wear gloves. But I think the idea here is that the glove itself can be a spreader. So I think,
Yes.
Priscilla, I mean, if you're wearing gloves, you still need to disinfect it from time to time. You need to
Yeah.
make sure that, as Sister has said, just because you're wearing gloves, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be washing the gloves or sanitizing the gloves, because the gloves still can spread disease. Huh? Now, there are a
Yes.
few other interesting questions here. Now, one question is, do students at centers have to remove or wear their shoes? So right now, we are, again, we are leaving some difference to the different centers. We know that there are some centers where they don't need to remove the shoes. Certainly for the schools, for example, it's not practical for them to remove the shoes if they're walking around the school, but also going into the classroom. So I think my answer to that, Davy, is that we are leaving it to the different schools and the centers,
Yes, I practice.
whether they want to allow wearing shoes or not. Right? Uh, there's another question about wearing face masks. I think, Murphy, that's been addressed earlier on by Sister. So wearing the mask for a long period of time, can it be an issue? So again, Sister has said, look, if you're feeling uncomfortable, trouble breathing, you're not comfortable, take off the mask, then wear the shield. You will find that breathing is a lot easier. So
Yes.
again, that's why we're giving all of our teachers, staff, and our students the option of either a face mask or a face shield. Right. So I think that would be our advice there. Cloth mask.
Many layers of cotton fabric can block droplet.
Wet wipes. I mean, look, so on the cloth mask, I think we all agree. I mean, one of the reasons is we've been looking at other countries around the world. And I think it's true that, for example, for COVID-19, doctors and nurses, all right, in the front line. So if you went to, let's say, the hospitals, where they are doing COVID-19, certainly the SOP is that they wear the 3-ply surgical masks.
Yes.
Right, and that's and that's that's the most thorough, that's the best. All right,
Yes,
but
the
like you
best.
see, those are not reusable, you see. So I think the issue is most countries around the world, including if you look at Singapore and other countries, they've said that for schools, because this is not like a COVID-19 ward, all right, they have not made the surgical mask compulsory. They've given options whether
Yes.
students and staff can either wear the cloth mask or the surgical mask. And I
Yes.
think the reason for it is, number one, this is not frontline, right? So you're not in a COVID-19 ward, right? Number two, I think this is important because in most cases, if parents have to change masks every day, and this is very, very expensive for the parents, all right? But
Yes.
like I say, when we look at most school systems around the world, they've not specified that it needs to be medical surgical masks. I think the surgical masks that's needed if you're working in a hospital,
Correct.
really the front
Correct.
line. But I think for the schools, if you look at most countries, including Singapore, they've said either a cloth mask or a surgical mask is fine, right?
Fine.
And combined with the face shield, that
Yes.
gives actually more than enough protection. But more importantly, it's also then comfortable for the child. I mean, the good thing about the cloth mask is that while it's not so thick, all right,
Yes.
it's more breathable. So most people find the cloth mask a bit more comfortable to wear over a prolonged period of time, and because it can be washed time and time again, all right? Let's see whether there are any other questions. Any questions from your side, sister?
I think I already share
Okay.
all the question, Doctor.
Okay, there's one more question then. For the quarantine room, so
Okay.
as you know, one of the SOPs we've put down is that if
Yes.
there's any suspected case, meaning halfway through the day, suddenly a child develops a fever or flu symptoms, immediately the protocol is that child needs to be removed from the classroom, put to the quarantine bay. Now,
Yes.
sister, you've probably seen our quarantine base, so are there any other suggestions for what else needs to be in the quarantine base to just make sure that it is safe? Yeah.
Actually, we inspect the quarantine room. Actually, all are equipped. That means they have the PPE, and they told me that they are going to prepare the PPE outside the room. And there is a waste bin. I think everything is in place, Doctor, actually. So the
Sure.
moment, the things that to remember is if the child is suddenly develop fever and they put in the quarantine room, once the parents come and bring back the child, the important is the cleaning. immediately clean the quarantine room. They should terminally cleaning the quarantine room.
Okay.
That is important. Use the approved disinfectant.
Okay.
So that is the best practice.
Thank you so much. So the moment there's a suspected case in there, once the child is sent home or sent to the hospital or doctor, the quarantine room needs to be cleaned immediately, right? Good.
Yes.
Now,
And
now,
if the patient, if the students are in the quarantine room, the door should be closed, doctor. The door should be closed, and the nurse should have the full PPE.
sure.
Okay.
Okay. So the nurse who is in the room with the potential positive case should be in the
Yes,
full PPE.
correct.
Now, a question here from Swee Ling about how are we supposed to handle waste for masks? And because some kids, let's say they change their mask halfway through the day, I think our SOP says it needs to be kept in a dustbin with a cover, right? So
Yes,
all of the
yes,
dustbins, I think in all of our schools now have cover. Right, good.
yes. Should
Thank
be
you
there.
so much. Anything else? Okay, I'm just checking whether there are any more questions. So, sister, wet wipes. Okay, cloth mask. Yep. Okay. I think that's almost it. I again, I mean, some of the questions are repetitive, so I apologize if we're not going through all. Um, a question here is measuring temperature the only criteria for allowing kids to school? Now, I think what we've told parents in the parent section of the SOP is to say, look, if your child is showing any symptoms of illness, they should not be sent to school. So, I
Yes,
mean, for example, I mean, now the temperature check is the thing we are doing in the school. So
yes, correct.
that's clear check. But I think what we're expecting the parents to do before they send their children to school is that if there are any symptoms, so it's sore throat, or flu symptoms, headache, that kind of thing,
Correct.
they should not be sending the children to school. And I
Yes.
think as a school we need to be firm with that. So this includes teachers as well. So teachers, I mean, if you're not feeling well, please don't be a hero because you're putting the whole school in danger.
The
If
danger,
you're not
correct.
well, even if there's no fever, you shouldn't come to school.
Correct.
Please don't worry about, I mean, we will get MCs and all that for you. But I think now during this COVID period, even if it's a minor illness, you should not come to school. I think that's important, right, sister?
Correct.
Good.
Correct.
Let's see whether there's any other last questions before we say goodbye. I mean, it's just almost 5, which is our proposed closing time. So maybe, sister, just to ask before we end today, are there any last words of advice, sister, for all of our teachers and staff, as they start opening schools? Is there anything else you'd like to add in terms of advice for health and safety for our staff?
The important things is, doctor, all the teachers have to read their SOP.
Good.
Because what we read is, I am one of the SOP that I refer this. It is a really, it's a Bible for them. Everything is here. So if they already read this and they will be very confident to talk to the parents. If the parents ask question, everything being put in writtenly. Even though the cleaning disinfectant, the liquid, how is the strength to be used is there. So the second is, don't worry about the COVID-19. All the measure is been taken. The reinforcement is very important. Remind each other. Sometimes we tend to forget because it's a new normal. Just remind, hey, do you wash your hand or not? Hey, please maintain the social distance. We need to tell them, please wear your mask, face shield, in the nice way so that the compliance can be maintained. So these are the basically things that we would like to reinforce the teacher. And conduct the training for all the staff. Make sure all the staff are compliant to the training. Everybody attend the training. They must know sign and symptom of the COVID. What is the preventive measure to be taken? What are the action to be taken if suddenly the child develop fever? Rather than that, the child fever, should I inform the mother or not? Are we going to live in a quarantine or what? So all these, they should read. Everything is written in the SOP.
Thank you so much, sister. I think that's the perfect way to conclude our webinar for today. Number one, sister has reminded all of us we need to be aware of the SOPs. And I think, look, I think this is new for us. I mean, most of us who are in the teaching profession all this while, I mean, let's be honest, in most times, I mean, when it comes to medical issues, we've been a little bit negligent because, I mean, usually we say we are not the nurse, we are not the doctor, this is somebody else's issue. But I think in the time of COVID-19, this is something that concerns all of us. And
Yes.
whether we like it or not, we need to be well versed with every part and every page of that SOP. I mean, I want to thank, the leadership team, that put the SOPs together, the academic heads, people like Chong and Kenny and their teams. They spend a lot of time working with Columbia Asia to get those SOPs there. We've tried to make it as, I think, simple as possible, as
Yes.
straightforward as possible. But as Sister has said, look, the SOP itself has no power. We as staff, we need to take it very seriously. We need to embody it. Any part of it we don't understand, ask our
Yes.
supervisors, ask our trainers. But I wanna say also that I think this is really important. All of these processes that Sister has shared with us, I love the fact that she talked about being positive. So look, the first few days is going to be difficult because your children, your students are not used to it. And it's okay, I mean, so sometimes they will forget. They'll forget to do things. They'll go and hug their friends. They will, not observe social distancing. They will touch their face. They will not wash their hands. And I think, look, we don't want to create an environment of fear in our schools, but it's about being gentle, positive, but very firm with giving encouragement and reminders. So I think it's about friendly, positive, but firm reminders. I mentioned the word firm there so that the students know that we are not playing around here, and I know some of the older students, they are a bit naughty, they want to push the parameters, they may not take it seriously, they may think this is all a big joke. And I think the first few days, it's important that all of us as leaders, school nurse, teachers, administrators, we need to send a very unambiguous message. So this Wednesday is sort of a moment of truth for us. The first few days, we need to send a very unambiguous, clear message to our students, our parents, and our staff that we mean business. I mean, this is not play around. I mean, that's why I think we've invited Sister and Columbia Asia hospitals. We're going to be having a lot more sharing from them and the rest of our sisters, colleagues as well, because, in a hospital, they don't play around with safety protocols. If you notice, you go and observe in a hospital, there's no compromise, right? They're 100% black and white when it comes to what they need to do to follow protocols, because it's life and death. And I think we need to realize that. I know we're not used to that kind of environment, but in order not to compromise the health and safety of our students and our staff, we need to adopt the hospital kind of mindset. Right? So thank you so much, Sister. And I just want to end by saying, look, I'm sure many of you have other questions. There are other issues, please continue to write in. You can write in through your leaders. All right.
Yes.
I'm sure this won't be the last session we have with Columbia Asia Hospital. On July 4th, they are also organizing a briefing for parents. All right. In fact, that's actually a webinar. The title of that, I think one of your colleagues, Sister, one of the doctors is going to be coming in to talk about how to build the immunity of your children.
Correct. Yes.
What kind of nutrition, immunity? Yeah, I think I'm not sure whether it's Dr. Sharon Paul or one of your colleagues, but they're coming in. They're going to be giving a parenting webinar. I think all of us are also interested in building up our immune system. But this is a long-term partnership we're having with Columbia. So like I say, today's webinar is just the beginning of maybe a series of other briefings. And look, we know we're going to find out soon, when we try. And there may be things that we can improve on. So we want all of our different centers and schools, all the leadership team are all together. I just want all of you to know. So from Real Kids, Street KDUs, Real School, CFL. I mean, we meet every week. There's a COVID task force, so we are always sharing information with one another. So let's see what happens. Wednesday is going to be a key time. And I want to remind everybody that, look, I mean, it's not just that we are doing this because it's really important to keep our children safe, but I mean, you have to realize that you're now living in what I call a fishbowl environment in your schools where, I mean, you're in a school where there are, 3,000, handphones and iPads and computers, and we need to be kept on our toes because our students, and they're going to be taking photos and videos, and we need to, let's say, show the world that we are being compliant. That this
Yes.
SOP is not just, not just for show, but we're actually executing it and implementing this. All right. So I think it's very important that all of us realize that we all have a role to play. All right. So thank you so much, Sister Puniswari, for
Thank you
taking
very
time.
much, Doctor.
And thank you again to Columbia Asia. Thank you to all my colleagues for logging on. And for those of you who are in the schools, Sri KDU and Rail schools, like I say, you're going to be welcoming your first senior students on Wednesday. So we want to wish you all the best with these new protocols. For Real Kids, you're going to be welcoming, all of your students back next week on July 1st. So again, we wish you all the best. Lots of important work to be done. Again, I want to end by thanking all of you. You've been working just so hard every day, every week. I'm getting
Yeah.
reports from my colleagues about how hard all of you, teachers, admin staff, working overtime to do your online lessons, plus prepare for the start of school and classes. I just want to thank all of you. I know you're making
Thank
a lot of
you.
sacrifices to get all of this ready. Thank you so much. Everybody, have a good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good
Thank
day. Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.